Today is Victory Day in Russia. The former communist country honors those who were killed in the Second World War. The patriotic pageantry included a military parade. The festivities focused especially on the victory over Nazi Germany nearly 80 years ago. The then Soviet Union lost around 27 million people in the war. These days, President Vladimir Putin is training his sights on the West, which he says is trying to start global conflicts.
We reject claims of exclusivity by any state or alliance. We know what the exorbitance of such ambitions leads to. Russia will do everything to prevent global confrontation, but at the same time, we will not allow anyone to threaten us. Our strategic forces are always in combat readiness.
All right, for analysis, we turn to Stephen Sestanovich, Senior Fellow for Russian and Eurasian Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations. Stephen, great to be with you today. So what did you make of President Vladimir Putin's remarks, including what he said about the war in Ukraine and also about the West?
Well, building a sort of national consensus around the World War II victory is part of Putin's project. He's trying to associate himself with what he sees as a glorious past. It was a speech that didn't focus a whole lot on Ukraine because the past is more popular than the present. But it did include a real focus on the West as the big enemy, more than Ukraine itself. And he's trying to build Russian patriotism around the idea that the West is trying to destroy Russia.
You know, and in Ukraine, we know that Russia has targeted some of the energy infrastructure there. Let's talk more about that and the strategy behind it.
Well, Putin has ramped up attacks on Ukraine. There have been a record number of missiles in the past week attacking power plants and dams and so forth. It looks as though it's a kind of race to beat the resumption of Western aid. He knows that the aid is about to surge, and he wants to punish the Ukrainians before they get the new air defenses that will help them resist Russian attacks.
Before we run out of time here, I want to talk about this. Earlier this week, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced an alliance with Serbia. Tell us more about this relationship, and should the U.S. be concerned?
Well, China has been associating itself with countries in Europe that are kind of hostile to or disengaged from the Western alliance. So he stopped in Hungary, because Hungary is probably the most dissident member of NATO. He stopped in Serbia, which has been the home of the Chinese embassy that was mistakenly attacked in the Kosovo War 25 years ago. And he's pledged a limitless alliance with Putin. So it's an attempt to sort of fortify the anti-Western coalition.
All right. And before we let you go, final thoughts.
Well, Putin did a lot of saber rattling here in his speech, and that's one thing to bear in mind. He has read that American analysts took his earlier nuclear threat seriously, and he's trying to remind us he's still got those weapons.
All right. We're going to leave it right there. Stephen, thank you so much for your analysis today. Appreciate it.